Okay, there you have it.
All right, welcome everybody. There she is. Hi, Rebecca. All right, Thursday, October 28th, Downtown Advisory Board. So welcome everyone. We now have a quorum. So let's start with roll call. Joshua Kay, myself here. Aaron Turpening.
Present.
Alan Pollitt. I see him.
I'm here. Sorry.
Alan is Vincenzo Maduri. Tyson Giza.
Here.
Charles Weathers. Quandary Robertson. Scott McLeod. Linda Nishioka.
Here.
Jordan Truitt.
Present.
And Summer Keatley.
Present.
Present. Okay. Moving forward onto the approval of the agenda. Everybody has received that from Anita.
I would move to approve the agenda.
And this is Linda. I'll second it. Oh, go ahead, Summer.
Seconded.
Summer seconds. All those in favor of the approval of the agenda, say aye.
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 Those not, nay. Motion carries. Okay, on to the approval of the minutes from the September 23rd meeting.
Move to approve.
Seconded.
And Summer seconds. All those in favor of approval of the minutes from the September 23rd meeting, say aye.
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 Those not, nay. Motion carries. Okay, rolling into number 4, action items. Do we want to combine the November and December meetings? Cherie, thoughts?
Well, November's meeting would be on Thanksgiving Day, the 25th, the fourth Thursday of the month. So historically, what we've done is not have November and then kind of do November, December, like the second Thursday in December, so it's not bumping up against the holiday. So December 9th would kind of be that day, but typically it's a discussion you all have in regards to your availability, or if you'd rather have another day based on availability.
December 9th works for me.
December 9th is my husband's birthday, so I might end up being busy.
Do we want to send out some kind of doodle poll with like 3 or 4 dates on it, or some equivalent, to give everyone a chance to say what works best for the most amount of people? Are we allowed to do something like that?
Yes, you can do that. I mean, we can, well, let's just talk for a second about when we go through the budget season, we do Tuesdays and Thursdays to get everything covered. So again, in December, there's December 2nd, December 9th, December 16th. I don't think you'd want to do it the week of Christmas or the week after because of New Year's, or there's Tuesdays as an alternate date. And that's like the 7th or the 14th. So I guess the question could be, Summer just said that the 9th she had a conflict with. Are there any days, a Tuesday or Thursday, that people have conflict with to narrow down options?
I'm free on the 7th and the 14th, those 2 Tuesdays.
Okay.
I'm available the 9th, the 7th, or the 14th, so I'm good.
I'm free everything but the 9th.
Thank you.
7th and 14th work for me too.
Is everybody okay with the 14th of December?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Sheree, do we need to make a vote on that to combine the meetings to?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'd like to hear a motion for the approval of combining the next two DAB meetings onto December 14th, 2021.
I so
So
move.
there you go. Second.
Aaron seconds. All those in favor of combining the next two board meetings onto the December 14th, say aye.
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 All those not, nay. Motion carries. A Tuesday DAB meeting. Great.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, moving on. Information reports. We've got some exciting stuff today. I love when we get these so we can get educated. Anyone that tunes in can tap into it as well. So today, starting off, we've got the Union Street Bike Friendly Project from Michael Miller. Go ahead, Michael.
Good afternoon. I'm Michael Miller. I'm with the City Engineering Department. Cherie asked me to attend and she says we kind of have a fairly new board and just kind of give some background and kind of where the current status of this project is. So let's see here if I can navigate this. So hopefully you can all see my screen. So talking about the Union Street Northeast Family Friendly Bikeway project, this project is looking at specifically Union Street between Commercial Street and Summer Street. This project we're currently have a consultant engineer on board that's helping us with the design of this project, and that's Harper Hoff Peterson Regelis. They are the ones that are kind of taking the lead with us reviewing plans and getting community input on developing these plans. Just to kind of give you a little bit of project background, this project started out in 2011 in the Central Salem Mobility Study, and that's when that study was started. The study was completed in 2013, and recommendations were adopted by City Council. And then in 2014, those recommendations were then incorporated into the Salem Transportation System Plan. Just to kind of give an idea of what was kind of brought up there, the recommendations brought up 3 different kind of short, mid, and long-term recommendations. Looking at just Union Street itself, there were recommendations made in all 3 of the different term categories. Short term, which they were looking at within the next 10 years, was to add sharrows along Union Street and signalize the intersection of Union and Commercial. That project was actually completed in 2017 and provided the new signal and shared traffic / bike lane on Union Street. The next kind of term of recommendations, the midterm, kind of looking at targeting to be done within 15 years from the time of the study on Union Street, is to actually create the family-friendly bikeway. And in the recommendations, it was from Commercial Street to Winter Street, where it was the corridor that they were looking at. And that's kind of the phase we're currently working on right now, is this midterm off of the recommendation study. And just to kind of get a full picture here, in the long-term range, within 25 years, the goal was to extend the family-friendly bikeway so that it tied in down on to continued from Winter all the way to 12th and Marion is where that would tie in with the 12th Street Promenade. So as kind of the project background right now is, like I said, in 2017, the first phase of the project was completed. And then as last year, we started the second phase of development in working on those the midterm improvements. And kind of based on where we were going, the project area for that one, we actually are looking at completing a little bit more than what was originally in that midterm scope. We're going another block past to Summer Street. There at Summer Street, there's kind of some different roadway changes. So it kind of made a better kind of transition point for us to pick up between summer and winter and kind of make a more cohesive project. So we're looking at our improvements continuing from the signal at Commercial and running through Summer Street. This is kind of just a brief overview of some of the designs that we're looking at. What we're looking at doing is along this entire corridor, kind of going through, and we would do a 2-inch mill and inlay. So we'd take out 2 inches of the pavement and repave pretty much the entire corridor to give a new wearing surface, which then allows us to more easily change the striping to add in the bike lanes. We would have bike lanes on both sides of the street. And most of the a lot of the intersections, we're actually looking at, while we're there, updating and bringing to code the ADA ramps that are there. And also at the intersection of Liberty and Union would be the installation of a new traffic signal as well to help with movement of traffic along Union, both bicycle and traffic across Liberty. So kind of right now, the kind of overview of where the schedule is at. We're currently in the preliminary design. We have determined that the next kind of phase with the way funding works on this would take us to the right-of-way phase. Right now, we have determined that we don't anticipating needing any temporary construction easements or additional right-of-way. So that is one phase that we'll be able to remove from the process. In June of this last year, we had a virtual public open house with questionnaires asked. We had some design considerations that we had questions on, and we're looking for input. So that was held in June and got some feedback on there. And as of right now, we're trying to work on getting the final design done. We're working towards getting the design acceptance package put together, which will kind of put it kind of like a bookmark or a book cap on the end so that we kind of have a defined goal in making sure that we're meeting all of the requirements that the project had initially intended to accomplish. So we're looking at having final design done early 2022 so that we can hopefully, as long as the funding works with ODOT, look at having construction starting in 2022 as well. So that's kind of a brief overview of the project. Is kind of open it up if there's any questions or that you guys might have on the project.
This is phase 2. How big is the scope? Like, how many more phases are there?
With the way the Central Mobility Study kind of broke that up, it was 3 phases. So that last phase would take from where we currently end at Summer Street to around to the 12th and Marion at the 12th Street Promenade.
Thank you. Any other questions for Michael?
Yeah, this is Linda. I'm wondering, with the Union and Commercial, did you have any issues? I know that when I've gone through and navigated that, it's kind of a tough intersection, and I just wondered if there were any problems, and if so, if that extension is going to deal with it.
I have not been relayed any issues with that intersection. I know that is it's kind of a unique signal there, where if you're heading westbound, it forces vehicles to turn right and not go through. Yeah. Whether there's any modifications to that, this project wouldn't, address that. That might be something that would be looked at, for maybe a future project if there is some transportation issues.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to share with the board that urban renewal funds from Riverfront supported the cost to put the signal in. And it's supporting, obviously, Michael's here to present because we're paying for a portion of the improvements that are within our boundaries. But anything else east of our boundary,
Okay.
it's not, you won't be seeing a future phase of funding request from Riverfront because it wouldn't be eligible. It's outside our boundary because our boundary is Church, kind of the middle of Church Street. So just wanted to make sure that you understood we have funded 2 pieces of this, but we wouldn't be able to fund anything outside of our boundary.
Thank you for that clarification, Cherie.
Well, I want to be respectful of Michael's time. Obviously, lots of stuff to engineer. And if there's not any other questions for him, we can move on to the next section. Michael, thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay, Salem Main Street Association Downtown Business Survey Results. Linda Nishioka.
Hi, everybody. Did anyone have any questions from the survey? Well, maybe what I should do is I should just get started. I have been on the design committee, which primarily has been able to get the alleys named with so much amazing help from the city. Get the alleys named, and then because of streetscape, the signage gets to go up for those alleys, and so there it's kind of an ongoing project for the signs to be going up. But I had not been part of the full board, and so I joined in June technically, and what the board was doing was trying to support primarily the businesses, and having activities and events such as before the pandemic, On Your Feet Fridays, and then I think the art walk, which is still happening. So some of those projects, but the organization struggles a bit with raising funds and finding its way. So I had suggested that we put out a survey to the businesses and property owners, and it did go out to 159 that we had on a contact list, and we got 28 back. So this is the summary from those 28. And as you can see, really, it is about the complaints were tended to be about parking, homelessness, and many of them said that they had participated in some of those activities and they would like to see more of them. But now what I'd like to do is figure out, or what I think the board should do is figure out what those events are and how we go about supporting them, funding them. They are doing a holiday lighting, so they're going to light. There's some businesses that will use the lights that the city has provided, and then they are going to have a contest. Did you hear about that, Cherie, in the meeting? So they are going to have a window decorating contest, and they're going to they're coming up with what the winner would get. So I haven't heard any more on that, but they're encouraging the businesses to light up their windows. They have students from the high schools, if they want any decorative painting on the outside of their windows. And then they'll have this contest. I think we still have to scurry about figuring out how people would vote, but it is in the works. And so anyway, Cherie wanted me to bring this information forward because in the past, we have supported the organization prior to the pandemic. And correct me if I'm wrong, Cherie, I think we gave 13,000 in 2018. And so they want the city to help support the organization, but we have no funds to do that right now. And so the group itself really needs to figure out ways to sustain itself. And I was hoping that this survey might give us at least some direction on how that might look.
So sorry, Josh.
Go ahead.
So as you probably would, if you read through these, the survey was done at the time that on-street parking spaces were used by restaurants for expanded outdoor seating. So a lot of the comments related to equitable and fairness of on-street parking spaces used for that purpose, not seeing people in those, retail not getting the same. So obviously, as of October, all those tents and what was in the on-street parking spaces has been removed. We have a policy that there will not be anything but a approved platform similar to what you see Kitchen on Court that would be licensed to be using those on-street parking spaces. And recently, the fees associated with somebody taking those spaces offline was approved. So I'm hoping that if we were going to do the survey today, we would not see the comments about parking. I am going to be honest with you, the complaints I am getting now about parking, and I have, unfortunately, ever since Cozon State opened up, is it's very hard to find any parking between Ferry and Court because of the residents parking on street. And we also have the home and hotel. We have spaces offline due to construction, which we want that construction, but it does take parking spaces offline. So I will probably be coming back to the board to talk a little bit more about the residents parking on street, even though they're restricted for 3 hours. Obviously, in the morning, 3 hours means you don't have to leave that space until 11. And in the evening, you can come back and park at 5, knowing that enforcement stops at 8. So the parking, fills up quickly around that location. And so I'm hearing the criticisms of that from the businesses in that area. But again, it will be something that we will talk about as a group. Now, Linda, you and I talked about this because there's 427 businesses within the parking district. And I don't know how many board members of Main Street, more than 10.
I did ask, and no one maybe I asked the board to let me know if they completed
Have participated.
And I got responses that all said I did not. So
Interesting. Based on some of what they said, I would have thought I could have picked out who that was. Okay.
But we do know that 2 of them, of course, are from Negative Nelly and people that that she associates with. So we'll just leave it at that. And you're absolutely right. The businesses that I would go into, they would be complaining about the fact that the parking spaces were being taken up by tables or restaurants that were not using them at the time of the day when people were shopping. I think that, Cherie, do you want to point out the one that said, build another parking garage?
Yes. Thank you so much. I would be happy to comment on, all you have to do is drive through Marion and Chemeketa and realize we do not have a shortage of parking spaces available. In fact, the board has always wanted to try to find ways to increase the demand and capacity, especially for Marion, because it's underutilized. Yes, I really appreciated that one because I have lots of parking that is available. And I think the board probably doesn't know that in order to increase the usage, several years back, we switched out all of the signage. Probably Alan, you'll remember the burgundy and gold parkade signage and banners and a whole bunch of stuff that was done around that theme. And over the years, it becomes faded. And so people didn't know where the parkades were. So we went and rebranded it with the blue and white, making it so much more visible. And then we turned around and in Chemeketa, we put in a parkade sensor project, which if you're out on Commercial Street, you can see how many spaces are available. We pushed the sign further out so that it was more visible. And then we added the information on what's available. So I think the board takes seriously the whole parking issue when it comes up as a negative for downtown. And over the years, we've tried to find ways to improve that visibility. So I
Well,
hope that was helpful.
regardless of the participation, which is disappointing, I do think the contents of here are really valuable and pretty spot on. I mean, you have to sift through a lot of the volume of it. But I feel like DAB's scope is making recommendations to city council about downtown with informed collective group decisions. But like it's also about like empowering downtown businesses. So Salem Main Street is the highest concentration or organization right now of businesses that have come together. Even though the participation rate, at least on the survey, is low, it's the best thing that exists right now. And I think it should be on DAB to empower and fund them. To what extent, I don't know. I would think it would coincide with any kind of city lobbying efforts, especially to do with parking. Because it sounds like through the survey, at least through some of these points, that Salem Main Street would approve of parking. And it's only going to get worse with more residents and of the hotel, for example. So I feel like there's got to be a way. I mean, I'd like to see some goals for DAB heading into 2022. It'd be nice to, achieve something with the group that we have here. So I would like to take this data and have some goals with it with the group, with staff's help.
I feel that the Salem Main Street needs to make sure we find ways to have sustainable income. And if there is something that could be done with the city in the sense that it's like the amount can be decided that is assured would be given each year. Of course, if something happens, you might have to adjust that, such as another pandemic. Let's hope not. But most cities, this is a national, let me back up. Main Street Association is a national organization, which also has a state support system. And they're the ones that help you with committee involvement and sort of what each committee is directed to promote within that city. And they pretty much state that some money should come from the city itself. And so it would be nice if our Salem Main Street can find a way that avenue of income could be present. And if DAB is the one that makes that decision, it might be nice to try to take a look and see, when we have a real workable budget, what amount could be supported. But then Salem Main Street needs to come back to us and make sure that they're doing all they can and utilizing the funds available in responsible ways.
Linda, is Salem Main Street a nonprofit?
Yes.
So is there someone in the group that's writing grants and finding money, or what's the financial picture look like in terms of getting the money?
So we have written some grants. We have gotten some grants. We've gotten, as I said before, money from DAB, and I know that I think some money has come directly from the city. I'm not quite sure. I think that was kind of a backdoor ask and received. So we have no paid executive director. The goal was to try to find an executive director so that someone with more organizational experience could actually kind of keep everything together. But to do so, we'd have to raise $150,000, $200,000 just to maintain somebody in the insurance and
Yeah, I don't think that's.
yeah.
necessarily
Right
a
now,
smart
we're working
move.
on a budget of, like $10,000 to $20,000 and trying to hold events. I will tell you.
But
Oh,
there's not like a committee or one dedicated person that's trying to get the funding.
No.
Okay.
We're trying to figure that out, quite
Okay.
honestly. And we have a promotions committee that basically promotes the events. I've been asked to try to organize the fundraising committee. I have to figure out how I'm going to do that. I will tell you that we had a meeting this morning and we had Damian Williams from Sports Oregon. Oh my goodness, what a dynamic man. He is the one that with so much effort got the half Ironman in July, and it's a 3-year contract. It'll be back. And he talked to us about working with tourism industries such as Travel Salem, Travel Oregon, Willamette Valley visitors. And I think we as a board need to figure out ways to promote ourselves, to promote downtown better to these larger organizations. And because really we've just sort of relied on our own little town, our own little citizens, come downtown and shop, which is important, but we also need to kind of look at a bigger picture. And that's what I really got from Damian, in the sense of we need to see this bigger picture. And one of the new board members asked him, what does Salem need to do to promote more events? I guess you would hate to call it just events. And his answer was more sports fields. And I thought that was really interesting. Have more soccer fields to get soccer tournaments here. Have more baseball fields to get increased baseball tournaments. So I thought that was really interesting. And so we're a little organization. We might be able to look at it, but we're not going to be able to get that taken care of. But anyway, any other questions? I'm sorry, I'm rambling on, but it was a really great meeting this morning. It actually really made me feel like, hey, we can do this.
Just a comment. I just want to say thank you for all your work on it. It sounds like the horsepower of Salem Main Street's volunteer based, and
Yes.
people like you that are taking time out of their days to be a part of it. So I guess I would say the theme there is programming. And who does the programming? When we had our conversations about the riverfront and the new amphitheater, it was like, if somebody wanted to book today, who would they call? Because that's what looks like a theme of this survey, is getting people downtown so they can shop and eat and recreate. So if you have 5,000 people going to the amphitheater, that surge is hugely economically impactful. Like, that is everything, much like a softball tournament or a soccer tournament, but concentrated in downtown. So all the investments gone to the riverfront. So how do we program around that? So I feel like that should be a really big marker too on the city side, and maybe in partnership with Main Street. But we need to get programming going because we need to get people downtown. And post-pandemic, people are going to want to get out. So got to capitalize.
What do you mean by, are you saying like we need to create new programming, or we need to promote programming that's already happening downtown?
Better programming for wherever
Better
they do exist. Just making it easy for, there can be a couple key events or quarterly events, but it sounds like Salem Main Street has horsepower. But I did sense a problem with the ease of, let's say, touring band to call in and organize to get on the schedule for next summer or something for the amphitheater. I didn't really hear a full circle on that.
Well,
Is
the
that-
amphitheater certainly is not our responsibility. That would be under Parks and Rec, right, Sherry? If somebody, yeah.
I'm saying coordination to achieve these goals that are in the survey to get the people downtown.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Salem Main Street would be the one that would help promote it and help encourage the businesses to facilitate what might be going on and maybe have their own special, basically get the information out so that they could be present if there's events happening. But you're kind of talking about bigger events that would be organized by somebody else. Now, if you're talking about smaller town events, then yes, Salem Main Street could certainly be a part of that event planning. So we have, it's like there's an organizational committee, there's a promotions committee, there's now a fundraising committee and a design committee, which is the one that did the alleys. So I think that, quite honestly, I think part of the issue, and I'm hoping that with board members, we can improve this, is sometimes there's a lack of communication with what the committees are doing or want to see and what the board is doing. And I believe that people think that if we had an executive director, that would come easier. I'm not convinced of that yet. I think we're still just kind of figuring out how we work. We did just adjust our website, or we're in the process of it. And I'm hoping with that alone, we can get more input, people signing up so that we have a larger contact list. But we have to promote ourselves out to the businesses and help see what we can do for them. And that's really, it's still a work in progress. Cherie comes to the meetings. She probably has some insight. If there's any input that you would have, I would appreciate it.
I thought the presentation from Damien was amazing.
It
There's
was.
no way that guy can't make everybody feel better. And, him being a Salemite and him wanting to have it here was,
Yeah.
he was amazing. I think everybody should hear his presentation. I have been here almost 20 years. And when I first started, there was Salem Downtown Association, SDA, and they were a membership organization. So it was very different because they had title companies and commercial brokers and MAPS Credit Union. And it was a very diverse group. And so their revenue was membership plus money from the city and money for events. And they did a lot of meet and greets in the upper floor, vacant space of buildings. You could have, the property owner would host wine and hors d'oeuvres. And that's one of the ways I got to see a lot of space that you don't regularly get to see. It was really fun. And then unfortunately, the funding and their organization had issues. And so we then had Go Downtown Salem, and Go Downtown Salem had some political clout that the prior one didn't have, and they got funded pretty handsomely to get going, and they were able immediately to hire an executive director. And then they were successful in creating the Economic Improvement District. So that's a tax to a property owner, not a tax to the business. And that generated $100,000+, which is a different kind of budget than what you're talking about, Linda. So that, coupled with money from the parking fund, allowed them to have a staff and to do some summer in the city, bring the antique cars into downtown, some of those bigger types of things that brought a lot of people. they would bring the bands down in the fall for back to school. Lots of stuff over the holidays. And then again, unfortunately, it's hard to get a united vision for
Yes.
downtown.
Yeah.
It is, and it's so hard for me because if people would just agree to a vision, I think it would go a lot further, but unfortunately, it's if there's a dollar, people want to say it needs to go here versus here versus here. And so we end up having these organizations fail. And so obviously Salem Main Street was a different approach because it is not something that's just Salem. It's a very well-known program with its successes and support from the state, which is critical in providing technical assistance. Rebecca ran a Main Street in McMinnville, so she knows how critical having that relationship is. But I still believe, because I've been preaching this to Main Street from the beginning, you have to be able to communicate. You have to have a website. You have to do annual meetings where people come and tell you, the businesses and the property owners, what they would like the focus to be. And then once you have that, you have something to stand behind and say, this is what we're working on this year. This is what we're working on the next year. So that when you come to DAB, you come and you say, this is what our annual meeting generated. This is how we would like to have you play a role. And this is what we're going to give you for it. And we'll come and give you regular check-ins. Prior boards were not happy when Main Street did not come in and give updates. And anyway, but came in and asked for money, but no plan behind it.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you coming and keeping us in the loop. And I know you were behind the survey. You wanted to know what people thought about the organization because you were getting mixed messages when you were going door to door. So yeah, having you on the board is great. Having you on both boards is even better. So, thank you for that.
Yeah, so Cherie, I should have been more prepared. You said this in so many great ways. What I find too often in smaller boards is people will join sometimes because they have something they want. They have something they want to see happen, not necessarily what the town may want. And so it becomes frustrating in the sense that, as Cherie was sort of pointing out, it's like, let's get some money. So like they're tasking me with go fundraise so that we can have an event, so we can spend money. I want you to go find it. And I keep trying to say, unless there's a vision, unless there's something I can promote, how am I going to find money? And so it really does come down to, and I was after the meeting today, I mean, Damien was so remarkable. I'm thinking, how can I figure out a way to promote Salem Main Street? Because we really don't necessarily have a event or a vision for one thing. And I kind of feel like what they want to do is just take the things that we've done in the past and just make sure we've got enough money to do them again, whether or not they generate much other than feel good. And we came downtown and we had fun. So I don't know, it's tough. Cherie knows I've been trying to figure out ways. And again, she said this far better than I, and I apologize for my inability. But I did feel that after today, and with a couple new board members that are recently on, I think that there's some positivity. And I do feel that Salem Main Street can move forward. I think we just need to, we are going to have a group meeting in a work meeting to kind of outlay this in January. So maybe we'll have better direction.
Did they say who was facilitating that, Linda, today?
I did not hear anybody facilitating it, and that might be a good point, Cherie. I think that I'm not sure that, I think they just think the board's going to facilitate it. And again, sometimes you need a leader. Sometimes you need somebody.
Well, Tom outreached to me and asked me if I had any ideas a while back.
Oh, okay.
And so I gave him some names that he could
Wonderful.
outreach to. So I was curious if any of those accepted. Okay.
I don't know. Tom did not talk about it, but I will ask him.
Okay. Well, thank you, Linda, for all you do.
Oh, yeah. I wish I could do more. Any other questions from anybody? And I will keep you updated as I learn more information.
Okay, thanks, Linda. Moving on to the information reports, Tori Banford, West Salem Urban Land Institute project.
Hello, everybody. Let's start my presentation here and I'll get going. As stated on the agenda and provided by Cherie or others, I'm Tori Banford with the City of Salem Urban Development Department, work with Rebecca and Cherie. Happy to be here today with you guys. The West Salem Urban Renewal Area is one of the newer urban renewal areas that formed in 2001, where the guiding urban renewal plan includes eliminating blight, promoting private development, rehabilitating building stock, improving public resources, providing a mix of housing types, and sensitivity toward environmental resources as primary objectives. Prior to 2013, numerous projects were completed, like the western portion of 2nd Street, Edgewater Street accessibility improvements, multi-use path in Wellspring Park, and others. As funding obligations for these projects neared conclusion, an action plan commenced to recommend the next priority projects. The West Salem Business District Zone Code Cleanup Project was one of the recommendations, along with transportation improvements and financial incentives. The West Salem Urban Renewal Area has 4 distinct districts. You'll see it better on the next slide, but just to kick it off, starting from east to west, we have the town center with shopping, recreation, housing, access to downtown. The second area is the employment area with a long history of food processing, metal, and equipment manufacturing. The third area is Main Street areas of Main Street, or Edgewater Street Northwest and 2nd Street Northwest, where shops line the street corridors. And then the fourth is the residential area. So you can see these districts a little bit better in color here. Business district was the focus of the 2018 comprehensive plan and zone change, where the intent of the effort is to simplify the process, enhance the districts, and prepare for future development. The zone change simplifies the review and permitting process by removing complicated overlay zones and expand land uses. Districts are enhanced through design standards characteristic of the respective area, and the zone change prepares for the future where denser development with mixed uses are anticipated. Again, moving east to west, the West Salem Central Business District is a mixed use zone similar to downtown Salem with a zone to zone setback. So a new multi-floor mixed use building may fill the lot with a maximum building height of 70 feet. And that would be the kind of purple area adjacent to Wellspring Park. And then the 2nd Street Craft Industrial Zone expands on the existing industrial zone by permitting additional uses like limited retail, residential as live work flex space, where makers may display their items in a showroom and sell products. And so that's kind of a darker gray. The gray zoning is kind of that central area. So the darker gray abuts 2nd Street there. And then the Edgewater 2nd Street mixed use corridor provides for mixed use developments such as commercial, retail, ground floor with offices, residential uses above on multiple floors with a maximum height of 50 feet. New buildings are encouraged to be oriented with the building front to the street to follow the Main Street feel. Continued uses apply to all the zones and may remain as long as the owner desires. So that would be the kind of teal blue along 2nd Street and Edgewater, kind of, with the Willamette River to the south. Food processing manufacturers have slowly been relocating from West Salem to other parts of Salem, closer to I-5. We're starting to see the same pattern for high-tech manufacturers, some more refined metal manufacturers as well. This fed into the draft Our Salem Comprehensive Plan. As you probably have heard, of tracking Eunice has been great going out to all parts of the community to talk about this effort. So this change shows the purple in the middle now, and that's kind of what this focus is this transition from industrial to more of a mixed use in these large lot areas in the industrial section of West Salem. So the comprehensive plan intends, with the process to deem this, categorize it as a mixed use 3. This will also carry a continued use provision, so industrial uses may continue until redeveloped. And that's true with all of the zone changes that we've done to clean it up. Same with Outer Salem. There's continued uses. So existing businesses, if they haven't quite felt that need to, with their mobility, accessibility, and distribution to get closer to I-5, they can keep their presence there as long as possible. It's more next step, when they vacate those buildings, that zoning and those uses are already in place for like a redevelopment potential. So it's not sitting there blighted as unused industrial space. As you can see, the current comp and zone designations are gray. Like I mentioned, the draft proposals to change the comp plan to mixed use. And these can stay for as long as they like. This is more anticipation of a 10 to 20, 30 year future as these sites could develop. So to understand the current real estate market and what a near-term future could look like, we've reached out to the Urban Land Institute Northwest to see if the topic could be analyzed through their technical panel effort. Urban Land Institute is a renowned nonprofit organization that's helping to shape the built environment since 1936. The technical assistance panel will review the industrial area of the West Salem urban renewal area and provide strategic advice on the development and redevelopment potential for the area. The process will involve interviews and a site tour. The group will provide recommendations and a final report at the end of the panel. The West Salem Redevelopment Advisory Board, similar to the Downtown Advisory Board, recommended the project to the Urban Renewal Agency in the last meeting in October, and they will consider, the agency will consider it in November. If supported, the study will go for 4 months. So communities that have engaged the Urban Land Institute for this technical assistance panel include Salem South Waterfront, the old Boise paper mill site, the Boise Cascade building that was studied in 2006, Beaverton, Hillsborough, Seattle, Spokane, Tacoma, and others. Like the downtown urban renewal area, there's a matching grant program to help with redevelopment costs for building additions, new building construction, manufactured equipment, related building improvements for operations. Maximum grant amount is $300,000. Urban Development Department helps with Oregon Enterprise Zone Program and Federal Opportunity Zone Program. There's also dedicated personnel to connect businesses to incentives and financial resources through business retention and expansion efforts. If you have to answer any questions, or you can reach out to me by email or give me a call. I'm happy to talk about it. Anybody have any questions?
Tori, thank you. How has been the traction from interested parties looking to leverage the programs?
We have probably about 3 large projects every year. So we have pretty good, we have yet to see a developer actually build a mixed use, now that the zoning is in place for that. We haven't seen that yet. We do have 3 projects going right now. A lot of improvements along the Patterson Avenue, Patterson Street Northwest corridor, where we've seen conversion of some of that industrial space with Chicha Brewing, and there's a new office building under construction out there. So it's been successful.
So Tori, do you want to talk about, or I guess I can a little bit too, when Urban Land Institute came in to focus on the Boise redevelopment of the Boise Cascade sites?
Yeah, other than reading the report, I'm not familiar. I wasn't a part of when that went through. So by all means, please.
So having that type of exposure, having individuals from across the country come and meet for several days and look at what the property you have, the opportunity you have, and then outline steps that they would recommend you implement in order to have a site that's typically underdeveloped or underutilized contribute. It was a fascinating experience. And so, you know, for the Boise Cascade sites, they came in and recommended that it all be rezoned. Obviously, it was industrial, it was manufacturing, paper products. And so they turned around and made all these recommendations, including creating an urban renewal area, South Waterfront urban renewal area, focusing then on daylighting the creek, making it so that you could have a mix of uses. So it's it's amazing to get selected, Tori. Congratulations to have that type of talent come and work with, you know, West Salem to give you some ideas or recommendations as to how to make redevelopment happen there. I mean, it's really amazing what they can contribute to you to make things, who knows? I mean, that's the other thing. Until you go through it, you don't even know what they might recommend. So, you know, congrats for them selecting and working with you. I can't wait. You'll have to keep us updated to see
Yeah,
how it
happy to do
goes.
that. And it was nice to see all the things you listed as actual outcomes, you know, where they were recommendations, and then over the, you know, especially the daylight of the creek most recently. It's been exciting to see that happen downtown.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you for giving up your lunch.
Happy to
Oh,
be here.
are you in the office? Do you have chocolate over there?
I always have
haven't
chocolate
seen
for you,
you.
Cherie.
I know. I need to go over. It's good seeing you.
All right, good to see you too.
Thank you, Tori. Okay, well, we are way ahead of schedule, and I'm certainly okay with adjourning early, as I'm sure maybe you all are too. But I do want to give the floor to the best part of the meeting, which is what's happening downtown, our final segment. So, Jordan, I know you have something exciting to share. Sorry to put you on the spot, but I want to give you the floor for that. I see a map in the background.
Yeah. Sorry, my office is a little chaotic with old plans and maps and diagrams and prehistoric paper architectural plans that all relate and pertain to our family's property on Front Street that everybody knows of as the Truett Brothers Canning Plant. Well, my dad and uncle have been working for the better part of 20 plus years to eventually realize and see redevelopment of the cannery. And I think we're finally at that point. We have formally listed for sale the waterfront property on Front Street Cannery Building. So while you drive by, you may not see a sign. There are 13.27 acres of waterfront real estate now for sale. So we're very hopeful that we're going to see some positive development, take full advantage of our Salem's proposed mixed use. I think it would complement downtown and waterfront park and connectivity, and really should be enjoyed by everybody and not just cannery workers anymore. So it's kind of neat. You know, the building, the first structure was put up in 1914, and for us, that's old, and it's operated as cannery 100% of the time up until 2019. It's been mostly vacant since, and so this is the first major change we'll see happen along Front Street. So we're real excited about it.
Hey, Jordan, this is Linda. That is so exciting. One of the questions I was trying to phrase for Tori, but with your comment, I was wondering, with the dynamics of food industry businesses moving closer to I-5, how that then affects the financial aspect of the city in the sense, are we going to promote things such as, it sounds like you're thinking of residences and restaurants and more activities that I'm assuming that's kind of what your thought process is in this beautiful section of seeing the river. I don't know. Can you fill me in on that?
Yeah. The food industry has, gosh, over the last 20, 30 plus years has really gone through a consolidation of the market. And I think, as everybody knows, we processed a lot of green beans and a lot of pears, but margins and costs and overhead with operation of a 100-plus-year-old cannery were just astronomical. And to make matters worse, China could import a can of pears from China for half of what we could put an Oregon pear in a can for. So it was just real hard on business. And Treetop and Del Monte and even Seneca and Norpac have gone through massive consolidation. So we're starting to see fewer and fewer local food processors and more large scale, very recognizable national brands like Treetop consolidate in areas closer to some of their fields like Eastern Washington, Eastern Oregon, et cetera. So what we envision out of this is more of a community environment, a mixed use with retail, living space, still green space, connectivity via most likely a footpath, accessing the waterway to Waterfront Park, connection to the bridges to Minto Park, really to try to kind of wrap the whole thing in. But the biggest hurdle, and if you've ever been stuck behind it, the biggest hurdle is the train going right down the center of Front Street. But yeah, we envision when I say we, it's basically, it's my dad and my late uncle, but they were very diligent to ensure that it was going to be a tasteful complementary development for Salem and not a Walmart supercenter or something of that nature. And we all need Walmart to some degree, but not on the waterfront on pristine acreage right downtown. So
yeah,
here we go.
It sounds great. Yeah, you have any thoughts on how to manage around the railroad tracks?
I've worked with the railroad a lot in the past, and they are notoriously difficult. It takes an act of Congress to get them to realign tracks or do pretty much anything. We soaked a lot of energy into trying to bring light rail down to see if those options are there, like they did at Kaiser Station, had the opportunity there for it if it ever were to come to fruition. I think that's kind of the same on Front Street, but in the end, Burlington Northern and Genesee, Wyoming, and Portland and Western, the rail services, there's very little you can do to get them to cease or alter operations. So we'll see.
Good old interstate commerce.
That's right. That's right.
Well, it's an exciting prospect. The city of Salem is forecasting 60,000 more people in the next 10 years, and they need to live somewhere. And it's exciting to see an idea of vertical construction and density versus the sprawl that's been the historical norm for the city. So awesome. Anything else going around downtown Central Business District-y?
I have something.
Oh, yeah.
So just to kind of circle the wagons again, Charles won another award for his building. This one was it was announced at the Oregon Main Street conference, the statewide conference for the Oregon Main Street, and it was Best Outstanding Mixed Use Project. So he received that award at the conference earlier this month, but that would be 2 statewide awards he's won. So just wanted to give him a shout out again.
So the only thing I want to share is that, well, I guess maybe I have a couple things. Some of you, if you guys track the staff reports, on Monday, we got the okay to buy ABC Music. So that is very exciting because those of you who have kind of looked at the properties we had under control for redevelopment, we had Saffron UGM, and then there was ABC Music, and then the parking lot next to it was part of what we had. So it was kind of interesting looking at how was that going to work with that existing building. And in the beginning, they weren't interested in selling, but we've been able to go back to them. And so we did a staff report, and we're going to be buying it at $410,000. But I think that that's a real win for us because it gives us just that much more opportunity to do a better redevelopment there. So I know everybody's always interested in kind of the status of moving forward on the redevelopment for those sites. And I can tell you, I have a lot of balls in the air with it because I've had to have, the hazardous material survey done. I'm trying to get the demolition bid, the scope done. But if we buy buildings that have basements that I had no basement before that, then I'm having to now change my scope to add a basement. And probably some of you heard that somebody from the community went to Landmarks Commission and wanted the property to be designated as historic. And so that will be adding some additional work to it. They're going to be kicking something back to Kristen, outlining what their recommendations are for what they would like to see us do. It could be saving pillars, saving a window. Again, all of that, then I would have to figure out how to put into some kind of agreement or get a developer to adhere to whatever those requirements are. And then, of course, that site is one that will have to have some archaeological, historical elements and monitoring. So just more balls in the air, but the goal is to have those buildings get taken down as soon as I can, at the same time trying to make them as ready for development as possible, which means I have a pre-app on Monday to work with community development on the best approach to taking now 11 lots and going through a vacation for the alley and getting it down to something that would be more manageable for somebody to want to respond for redevelopment. So Erin, I just want to thank you so much for making my goal in life to be making that as easy as possible for a developer, because I am learning a lot, which I do like to do. But wow, okay, can I just sell it as is? This is, every time I open up something, I have one more. I have to go back and change it. It certainly gives you an appreciation for what a developer goes through.
Yeah.
That for sure. So as many of those things that I can take off the list that a developer would have to do, I'm trying to get those done. So I'll probably need more money.
Bless Aaron's heart, because we're keeping him busy too.
Yeah, that's why he's not making any comment to me. See, yeah.
No,
I know.
Sheree, I think I'm very optimistic that all your hard work will pay off big time.
Well said.
I am there for all of you realtor architect people. Just know that. So I think that that's all I have. Everything. Oh, I did notice that the Marquee rehab, they're moving the dirt now. So it seems like that's taken forever, but bringing in that type of patient for rehab and their family members who want to come and they would then probably stay in the hotel and eat out of the restaurants. I think that that's going to be a really good addition for downtown too. And I'm very excited that it's under construction. Seems like it's been forever. And I think I'm going to try to see if I can get somebody from maybe Parks to come in to talk to us about how the booking process is going to be on the amphitheater. That comes up quite often, and I don't really know what was decided as to the best way to do that. But I'm going to see if I can bring that back and get us some information on that also. I think it would just be good to know.
That'd be great.
Hey, Cherie, you, at the meeting, it was mentioned that something's going on with the Statesman building. I know that that's not in our boundary, but can you fill us in on that?
It is under contract. Kristen and I did attend a meeting with a local business owner of properties here in Salem. They have some exciting visions of what they would do there. I think obviously there's the building and then there's the lots. I don't think the lots are a problem as far as what they vision for that. It would just be a mixed use. They probably do housing, but the building is kind of 3 buildings. And I was fascinated to see that the building closest to the south building, when you go in, it's 4 feet higher than the sidewalk versus the one on the north end is level with the sidewalk. But it's kind of like 3 different buildings within one looking building. So I think that they're looking at the feasibility of what they could put into those existing buildings because they don't want to take them down to see what's financially feasible. So they didn't really say anything as far as what they were going to do at the end of the day. They just had a lot of questions of city staff as to what would the zoning allow? Could we do this? Could we do that? So it really wasn't much that I could contribute, but it was fascinating listening to some of the ideas that they were thinking of putting in there. I mean, it's right across from the Transit Mall. I mean, it's a good location. And I was talking to Jordan earlier, and it's just another classic piece of property that, you know, wherever you have a boundary, there's always something right outside of it. And that particular property is outside of our urban renewal area, just like with the exception of one of Truitt's properties, they're all outside of our urban renewal area. So they're close. They feel like, you know, and they are close. It's just when it comes to financial incentives, it's not close anymore. It's outside the boundary. So try to help any way we can with it being outside that boundary. So I don't have anything more than that other than I know it's under contract.
Okay, well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously right next door to the YMCA, which is under construction, the completion date for that project prospectively summer of next year. So 53,000 square foot facility, 3 stories sitting right there next to the Ike box. And then across the street from that on Cottage is a future 34 unit veterans housing facility that's underway, well underway too. So there's a lot of exciting stuff happening in and around downtown. So I know the city staff's going to be pretty busy in the years ahead with all of the stuff coming their way. So.
And we did tour Charles' property. That was fun. Those of us that were there on the day that he offered up. And then Quandary's not on the meeting today, but he's thinking of doing some additional development on this.
Yeah, he's here. Yeah, he says he's here, or it looks like he's here.
Oh, well, Quandary, you share what you're thinking about.
I am here.
Hello.
Hi. So do you want to share what you're thinking about, Quandary?
Yes, ma'am.
We don't want to put you on the spot. We're
I'm sorry, Cherie. I lost you there for a second. I received a phone call while you were speaking. Can you please repeat that?
I can do that. I was just I didn't know that you had entered the meeting. I'm sorry. So I was just going to share that you were looking at doing some additional redevelopment on the property you had. So I thought if you'd be better able to kind of share what you're thinking.
Maybe he got another call.
Okay, yes, I did. I did get another call. Okay, so I'm sorry. Maybe I better be able to, and then you said, I'm sorry, I didn't catch the end of that. I'd better be able to explain.
Yeah, you know the project that you're thinking about doing on your site?
Yes.
Why don't you tell the board what you're thinking?
So what I am thinking is, so this area, of course, we want to add to the beautification and the foot traffic to here in downtown Salem. So as I have taken over a boxing program, which was once located over at Church Street, I now have a nonprofit boxing gym, which caters to a lot of youth, in that helping them kind of focus on getting off the streets and getting focused, hopefully getting them into some jobs. Anyway, that's very involved within the community. And also my barbershop is inside. I'm sorry, some guys just walked up for appointments. So I'm here at the barbershop. But what we were looking at doing is building building up. So it's a mixed use area, as you all probably know. And so what I was looking at doing on the bottom floor is commercial property with a cafe in the front, barbershop in the front. In the back half, running the boxing program out of the back. And then on the second floor, we're going to do a barber school. We're going to open up a barber school. And on the third floor, be residential. So I'm in the process of continuing that. And it's a quite the long process, but we're almost there. Almost there. So that's what I'm looking at.
Thank you, Quandre.
You're welcome.
love to hear that. Well, if there's not anything else, we're at 121.
Wait.
Vincenzo.
We have a new restaurant next to our theater. It's a Thai restaurant, Thai and like sushi fusion kind of restaurant. It's real good. So we're pretty excited about that. Finally getting someone else in there. And we got Annie coming up. So all you family people, bring your kids in December. And if you guys want to give any money,
sun will come
feel free to reach out. Yes,
tomorrow.
yes, Cherie, it will. It will. As long as you keep singing it, it will. Awesome. That's it.
Thank you.
Hey, Cherie, is there a new restaurant going in where Table 508 was?
Yes, a French restaurant.
Ooh.
French Quarter, it might be called. Yes, I've met with them to talk about the grant program. Wow, what they want to do inside is pretty amazing. So I hope that they move forward with it. It'll be fun. And of course, Cozy Taberna is big time into their renovations in the spot that 1859 cider was in. So lots of fun things going on.
Okay, everybody. I think we're going to call it. Thanks for attending the October 28th meeting here at DAB, and we'll see you all December 14th. We are adjourned.